What's up? Welcome to your Buckeye Rush Hour for a Monday. Sorry I'm late, folks. A lot going on this week. Turkeys and pumpkin pies and all the stuffing, all this stuff, all the good stuff. But we're here. Today we're talking about, obviously, getting geared up for Saturday's game. And I've got a few burning questions that I want to bring up, and I want to get your comment on these and hit me with your questions. You're also welcome to call in. The number and call-in info is below the video in the description, so check that out. And don't forget, we're doing the squares pool, so check on that. And game week is here. What can I say? It's $10 a square on the squares pool. 25 squares. We've got about 18 or 19 left right now. It pays out $50 each for each quarter, so all 4 quarters, and $50 for the final score. So you get 5 payouts possible, no overtime. So each square gets 2 numbers per team. So you get 2 for the Buckeyes, 2 for the assholes up north. So keep it in mind. I'll drop my payment info. You just send $10 to me, and along with your name, so I know who it is, and I'll add you to the mix. We got quite a few going right now, but let me drop that in here. Squares pool $10. And the numbers will be randomly drawn when the board's full or right at kickoff. So Venmo. What else do we have here? Cash App and PayPal. So Venmo, Cash App, or PayPal are the best ways to send me the monies. All right. So there you go. All right, so let's get into it. First question, I have a question for the entire chat right off the bat. Is this the most important Ohio State-Michigan game ever? Yes or no? Quick question, quick answer. Yes or no? Is this the most important Ohio State-Michigan game ever? A lot of reasons you could say yes. You could say others were more important, but let me know what you got, and we'll answer those, and I'll read those off after I'm done here. So here we go. My questions for the game. The game is here. Ryan Day was asked after the Minnesota game on Saturday if he watched any of the Michigan game on TV before their game. He said, I might have, with a smile. He said, I mean, when you have time, you're always watching the other games, and certainly that one was on. So, yeah, he definitely watched. He watched that with a very keen eye. So here we go. Here's my burning questions for the game. Number one, this might be the most important. How healthy will the Buckeyes be for Saturday? After the Minnesota game, when Ryan Day was talking to the media, he said that aside from the season-ending injuries like Mayan and Lathan Ransom, the Buckeyes are expecting to have everybody back. So that means everybody for the Michigan game. That includes Michael Hall, very important piece up the middle. Michael Hall wasn't even seen in the stadium on Saturday for the Minnesota game. Last week he was taken to the locker room in the first half for medical attention, but we never got any details on that. And actually sounded kind of negative. Ryan Day did last Tuesday in his press conference about Michael Hall and his injury. So it sounded like it might have been a long-term thing, but apparently not. He's going to be back. Ryan Day, Michael Hall admitted that recently in interviews that he's working through kind of a slump he's going through in the middle of the season. He's trying to stay more focused on his assignments, play in, play out kind of basis. But even even when he's not at his best, he's still more productive than most interior D linemen around the world, around the country. So he's in line for a critical role this Saturday against a really physical, run-heavy team. Michigan runs it 60% of the time. So, and if there's a soft spot along that Wolverine front line, it's up the middle. Their linemen right up the middle have been a little soft. So Hall is the kind of disruptor the Buckeyes need in this game, and could get in JJ's face right up the gut and shut down that run, most importantly. Tommy could have played this past week at versus Minnesota. Coach held him out. He was not happy about it. I think they physically had to take his helmet away from him, and along with 2 armed guards. But yeah, of course, Tommy wanted to play. It was senior day, his last game. So, but discretion is a better part of valor sometimes, and it's a good idea to hold him out. So out for the season, you got Ransom, Mayan Williams. I think those are the only 2 out for the season. But anyways, having everybody back is huge. All right. My next burning question, can Kyle McCord deliver in another pressure-packed game? So we know how a quarterback at Ohio State performs in the game against Michigan is how they're measured, how you determine their legacy, right? This year in particular has been a little tougher with the Buckeyes working with 3 new linemen. You know, you got 2 new tackles and a new second-year guy at center. Then you're dealing with multiple injuries from multiple key players like Trey. Trey was out from the Notre Dame game until the Wisconsin game. Mayan out for the season, we talked about. Cade out a couple weeks. Emeka out for multiple weeks. So all that along while you're trying to bring a first-year starting quarterback in Kyle McCord. So McCord's really proved himself with the game-winning drive in Notre Dame on the road in a tough environment. He's shown his toughness while playing through an ankle injury. His left ankle has been injured since the Notre Dame game. Then he just got his right one rolled up on at the end of the first half against Minnesota. I thought he broke his fucking leg. That looked really bad. Big D lineman just like dragged him down and then landed on his leg while he's dragging him. That looked excruciating. But he jogged off the field, so that's good. So he might have 2 injured ankles now, but still toughness shown with, again, the first ankle injury was like 2 months ago. He's still dealing with it. So anyway, he's made a lot of big time throws that show you his potential. And there's also been rough patches though, like when the Buckeyes get bogged down in the red zone at times. No quarterback's going to be perfect. McCord certainly has been maybe over scrutinized for a first-year starter, but none of that matters. If he can go up to Ann Arbor, take care of business on Saturday, his legacy is cemented in stone. That doesn't make sense. Cemented in stone? Cemented in concrete? I mean, I don't know. You be the judge. Next up, my next question. Will the Buckeyes manage their signs, their signals differently against Michigan this time? So the sign stealing ring has been exposed. Who knows how high it goes, how deep it goes. But Michigan hasn't even bothered denying that they broke the rules and cheated, because it's so the amount of evidence is just so overwhelming. But does that mean that the threat of them stealing signs is gone? I don't know. The Buckeyes were clearly the target of the sign stealing operation. The volume of information that Michigan acquired thanks to Stallions, and then it's really difficult to completely scrap a playbook worth of signs. Like, think of all the signs you'd have to change. You know, it might not be practical or feasible from a Buckeye point of view, but the Buckeyes have been on alert for legal sign stealing for years. You know, in matchups like the Clemson Sugar Bowl game. They thwarted the Brent Venables sign stealing by dialing up the tempo at times, using huddles to call plays. So kind of keeping the pace, changing the tempo, fast at times, slow at times. So that look for that against Michigan, I would imagine. And overhauling their play calling procedures probably isn't sensible, but you do have to tweak your approach if you're Ryan Day and the Buckeye offense, right? You got to do something different. I don't think you can use the same signals at all times. I don't know. You can run a guy in that slows down the offense. So I assume, I would guess next year, week 1, we have the helmet communications. So 2 more questions. Does Jim Knowles have the keys to the test for the Silver Bullets against Michigan? Flashback to 2022 against Michigan. Jim Knowles, was Jim Knowles actually too aggressive in last year's game, or did Michigan just always know what was coming due to the sign stealing? Hard to say. I don't know. Couldn't hurt if you know 0 blitz is coming. You know who your man beaters are. Anyways, so the storyline for Knowles during the offseason was how can he stop the explosive plays? So this year, what did he do? He built a bend but don't break style of defense that is very, very stingy. He doesn't like that title attached to his defense, bend but don't break. But the defense has occasionally given up some yardage, a big play here or there, but they tighten up on their side of the 50 and they keep opposing offenses out of the end zone. They've held teams to just 9.3 points per game, and heading into the final week of the regular season, I like that average. If we can keep Michigan under 10, that's a dub for us. But Knowles still isn't afraid to dial up blitzes. He's obviously going to need to keep Michigan off balance with some different types of blitzes on Saturday. But this time around, it's going to be interesting to see if the Wolverines are able to find the answer or know what's coming when, and does Knowles get the same kind of results he has against everybody else this year with the second-ranked defense in the country? That will be interesting. So last burning question here. Like I asked you guys in the chat, is this the most important Ohio State-Michigan game ever? Well, the stakes couldn't be much higher, right? I mean, you could say this version of the best rivalry in sports is the most important one ever. Going by the rankings, you could say the 2006 game, number 1 versus number 2, would give it a slight edge, but there's a few key subplots off the field that really ramp up the excitement for this game, in my opinion. Obviously, Ryan Day taking some heat from Buckeye fans for losing the last 2 years to Michigan, but there's also plenty of evidence that Michigan stole those wins with clear and obvious cheating. So if the Buckeyes are able to get back on top of the rivalry this year, after the scandal was exposed and Jim Harbaugh suspended multiple times, by the way, for multiple games, then you have to question Harbaugh's entire coaching career with Michigan, right? I think you do anyways. So besides bragging rights and legacies, the most important aspects of this game are a spot in the Big Ten championship game and a spot in the college football playoffs, because we're playing for big trophies here. All right, let's go back to the chat, see what's happening. Starting from the top, Steven. How you doing, Steven? How you doing? Odysseus says OH. I say IO, good sir. Already psyched up. I'm psyched up too, Steven. Uh, yeah, there's a show today. Sorry I was late. Odysseus says, Big Fat Turkey had a presser today. I didn't see that one. I can imagine how awesome it was and uncomfortable. Jeremiah says, Hey, Joe, speaking of turkey this week, we're going to be having turkey all week long and Saturday. Our Buckeyes are going to finish off the actual turkeys. Let's go, Buckeyes. Yes. Yes. Jeremiah says, Yes, this is the most important Ohio State Michigan game ever. Odysseus, the same. Odysseus says, feels like more than a game this year. Yeah. I feel like the Buckeyes are the executioner, judge, jury, executioner, all wrapped into one team. And we're going to enact some justice on Saturday, except for the chopping of the heads or hanging. There won't be any of that, I hope. But you know what I'm saying. Odysseus says, would like to see Tyleek and Hero Canoe, in at the same time to take on their interior line. I think he will. Hero's been getting some meaningful snaps over the last month. I think you're going to, just for depth, if nothing else. So, yes, I agree. You're going to see those guys. You're going to see a lot of Ty Hamilton, Mike Hall, and when Michigan goes to that monster jumbo package where they bring in like 5 tight ends, we're going to have to bring in all of our D line, to deal with it. Steven says Kyle doesn't need to be perfect, just needs to manage the game better. No sacks or intentional grounding and no stupid picks. Yeah. He can't have those passes that hit a linebacker in the hands, or a safety like he's had. Remember he's had some big drops by some defenders going back to the Notre Dame game on the game-winning drive. Safety had one right in his face mask. Then Saturday against Minnesota, linebacker had one right in his hands. But I agree with you, Steven. Travis, what's up, Travis? Carbon stone, that's what I was reaching for. Thank you. Probably be another year till I can use that phrase again, but I'll try and lock it in the old memory bank. Odysseus says, I believe they will run tempo and wristbands. Yeah, those are the options, really. Etched in stone, there you go. Etched in stone. Those two are good. Odysseus says, I worry they've played possum sign stealing the last 2 games and will unleash the whole system on Saturday. I would rule nothing out. Because obviously Ohio State's been the target for how long? We've been the target of their cheating for years now. And they got our system down. And I don't know why, if you got a system that's working for you, why would you throw it out? I mean, maybe you had to fire the guy that was running the system, but you still have the system, right? It's not like he took it with him. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they're still using that shit. Hey, what's up, Buckeye Frank? Buckeye Frank is in the house. Buckeye Frank, is this the most important Ohio State-Michigan game in its history? Yes or no? Does the 06 give it a slight edge? Doug says, let's go Bucks. All right, Doug. Kang, what's up, Kang? Kick the cheaters' ass week. That's right. Kick their ass. Heel and hide them to the barn door. That's right. Doug says Temple would work because of the size of the defensive tackles, wear them out, and then run by them. I agree. If you keep them, get those big boys worn out and keep them on the field so they can't substitute with tempo, that's a win. I like that plan. Don't let them get a break. Make them burn timeouts or do whatever they have to do to get those fat fuckers a blow and get them keep them on the field. Don't let them get off the field. What else here? Odysseus says they could have our signals for all games prior to Penn State. Yep, exactly. That's my point. Buckeye Frank says, yeah, yes, considering the drama, definitely this is the most important Ohio State-Michigan game. All right. Steven says, most watched regular season game in history. Yeah, I think it has to be, right? Has to be. Doozy, what's up, Doozy? Does TCUN listen in on our side's headphone communications? I wouldn't rule it out. I would not be a bit surprised if they figured out a way to tap into that communication. Hopefully not. I think that's why they were doing the whole sign stealing thing, is because they couldn't get into the headphones, or it just didn't do them any good, didn't help them enough, right? Frank says Knowles is welcome to run zero as much as he wants this game. Well, yeah, helps when they don't know what's coming, right? As long as it's disguised, right? At the snap of the ball. Hey, Pam, how you doing? She says yes, and we don't need any stupid game-changing penalties. That's a great point. I think the Big Ten refs will be maybe helping us out a little bit. Maybe put the screws to Michigan when it comes to the penalties. Just a thought, maybe. But yeah, I agree with you, Pam. Pam says this is the most important Ohio State-Michigan game. Doug says there will be a large amount of alcohol consumed this week. Yeah, exactly. I know there will be here. Miles. So I'm going to go live all week, folks. Usually I just do Monday, Wednesday, Friday, but this week we're going live Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday. No Turkey Day show, obviously. But Doug says, I think our defensive backs score more touchdowns than JJ. Ooh, I like that. I like that. Yeah, I don't think they've seen defensive backs like ours. They definitely have not played against a secondary like ours. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, Frank. I think the Big Ten and the college football playoffs refs are in their ears and pockets. Whatever you do, make sure they don't win this game. I think you're onto something. You know Tony Petitti, the Big Ten commissioner, does not want to have to hand a freaking trophy to Jim Harbaugh or Sharon Moore. Either one. Odysseus says, no, those refs have been giving them the calls the last 2 weeks. Yeah. Yeah, they've been getting their share here and there. I was surprised that they waved off that targeting on the Maryland safety Trader. I thought that hit on Roman Wilson was going to get him an ejection, but that was the right call. No targeting. What's up, RDB? Ryan Day's beard in the house. Yeah, Odysseus, I agree with you there. He says, I want to see a heavy dose of sim pressures from every angle. Exactly. Disguise everything, and it's going to be good to have Tommy Eichenberg back. He'll be coming right up the gut, right up the A-gap blitz, which he does so well, and right into JJ's face. Frank says, got that on our side too. Hey, we've been fucked by the refs over and over. It's our turn. Yep, it's true. Big Ten refs like being on TV. They love their camera time, don't they? Doug says, I hope we don't have that ref that looks like the jerk guard in the Green Mile. Which one's that? Don't they all look like that? That one woman ref is the worst with the long brown hair. She's always put the screws to us. I remember she's been around for a couple of years now. She's a horrible ref, man. They need to, I don't know what kind of grading system they're using in the Big Ten office to grade these refs, But they got to tighten that thing up, man. There are a lot of bad referees in this conference. Snodgrass, there you go. His name even sucks. Thank you, Frank. Doug says I'd hit it though. Oh, yeah. Snodgrass or the chick ref? Yeah, exactly, Frank. That's my point. Last year, she wouldn't let us run freaking tempo. She's always cock blocking CJ. You know, couldn't get the snap off. Yeah, that's kind of what I was getting at. I hate every Big Ten ref too. But refs seem to suck all around the country. SEC refs suck. Who was it that screwed us against Clemson in 2019? Were those Big 12 refs or some shit? God, they fucking sucked. Jeremiah says more like snot crap. Yep. RDB says, anyone catch Harbaugh's press conference? They asked him about coach mutual respect and how he feels about Ryan Day. He totally avoided that and kept calling us Ohio. Was he channeling fucking Brady Hoke or some stupid shit? Guy's an idiot. Yeah, exactly, Doug. Odysseus says conference is supposedly reviewing Mason Graham targeting on Talia. He may be out first half. Ooh, really? That's interesting. I didn't know they could do that after the fact. Like after a game's over, go back and check the tape, see if they want to stick you. Frank says they've been especially terrible this year. Yeah, I agree 100%. They've been really bad this year. But it seems like the same every year. I feel like I'm saying the same thing about this time. Jeremiah says cheater hairball can kick rocks. Yeah. Oh, Odysseus says SEC booth is in Birmingham. Yeah, in 2019. Right. Yeah, it's kind of weird how that SEC booth is in Birmingham, right? Why would Alabama get any calls? It doesn't make sense. Yeah, Frank, that's really uncomfortable. Harbaugh said he likes to keep his locker room like his mom's swimsuits in one piece. What are we talking about? What the fuck? He's been letting those chickens peck at his brain too much. Doug says, I agree, Pam, worried about cheap shots and the fans throwing things at our players. It's a good point. Yeah, Pam, you're right. It's going to be a hostile environment. You got to think that they're going to bring in extra security, especially for that dumb freaking tunnel that they have, the one tunnel that both teams have to use. And it's about a 20-foot gap between the locker room doors. I mean, talk about a horrible engineering idea. Yeah. All they can do is bring in more security, I guess. Yeah, I agree, Frank. Targeting rule is broken, and nobody seems to have a solution to it. But it's gonna be different every game. It's one of those subjective calls. I need a drink of water. You know, when you let things be subjective like that, then it's going to be different every time. And if you got a bad crew of refs, it's going to be totally fucked every time. Odysseus says, worry loons will hurt our players. Focus on the sideline by chucking frozen water bottles at our sideline. Yeah. Nothing you can do about it. At least the players, I mean, this is one of those games where even if you're never, ever going to see the field as a player, you're wearing your helmet for the entire game. once you leave the locker room, once you come back to the locker room, do not take your helmet off. That's my word of advice. I'm sure they've been told that 1,000 times already. RDB says, I wouldn't go up there as a Buckeye fan. No way. No. Like we were talking about it last night on the Sunday show with Jeff and Sean. Like Jeff said, the only way you go up there is if you're taking a lot of dudes with you, you know, and like not a bunch of dudes with MBAs, like guys that know the inner workings of a back alley, you know. Frank says, as goofy as Harbaugh is, he was not completely obvious to what was going on. Oh, completely oblivious, sorry, to what was going on. Yeah, that's unusual for him. He's usually completely oblivious. Doug says, I think Harbaugh will encourage his players to start trouble in the tunnel. I wouldn't be surprised. You can't fall for that as a Buckeye coach, player, staffer. They like to push the staffers around too. The low level people getting water and stuff. They like to try and intimidate those people too. So Odysseus asks, did H.H. Holmes construct the outhouse? I don't know, dude. Frank, sausage party to Ann Arbor. I wasn't thinking that, but kind of, yeah, you're right. Beat some Wolverine asses. Yeah. One Bucks fan, what's up? How you doing? Welcome to the show. We are much healthier than last year. That's a great point. All the way around, yeah. Sucks losing Mayan and Ransom. Those are key losses, especially Ransom being a starter. Mayan, you can kind of absorb because you got, the rest of the room is healthy. And Dallin Hayden, there's no fear of burning his red shirt. So everybody is full go, Trey looks to be 100%, which is most important. I guarantee you that Michigan has not seen a Trey Henderson yet this year. Now, they didn't see him last year either, by the way, because he was out. Yeah. Doug says, exactly. They're going to try and get us to lose our cool. Yeah, you can't fall for that shit, man. It's set up for you to get a cheap penalty like Cam Brown did last year, losing his shit. And they want to bait you into doing something stupid. You can't take it. Now, I'm pretty sure you can get a personal foul call before the game even starts. If the refs see you starting shit before a game, I'm pretty sure that they've been given the power to call penalties on it. Either they'll call it on the entire team. I don't know if they'll go right to a single player because most of the time they're not wearing uniforms before a game. So I'm pretty sure they can just flag the entire team with a personal foul penalty to start the game off, whether it's applied before kickoff or on the first drive after kickoff. I'm not sure how they do that, but I'm pretty sure that you can't just go willy-nilly starting shit before the game without there being some repercussions, depending on how nuts you get, Hey, hit the like button, please, folks. I appreciate you. We're cranking up the numbers here. We're getting more and more people in here as we go. Back to the chat. RDB, yes, my call will play. We are excited about that. RDB says Georgia Ryan Day loading. That's right. What's he got to lose, right? You got to let it all hang out, man. Doug says there's more excitement around this year's game than the last couple. Yeah. I agree. Oh, good point. Odysseus. Carnell Tate wears the same number as Chris Olave. Number 17 when Olave went off in 2018. Yep. That's what I'm thinking. Repeat performance there. Odysseus, sounds good to me. Yeah. RDB says, I want the post-game interview with Ryan Day. going to be more intense than where's Lou Holtz at. Where's Jim Harbaugh at? In a hotel somewhere. I don't know. At his house. You know, back at the facility. Yeah. That's going to get messy. If I was Ryan Day, I would really yank on old Sharon Moore's hand if Sharon Moore will be coaching. So because he's the one of the coordinators anyway, that worked directly with Stallions stealing the signs, more than Harbaugh. I know you really want to stick it in and twist the knife with Harbaugh, but Sharon Moore is him and Minter are the two that have worked directly with Stallions and actually are more valuable to that team. So I really want to tell him what time it is. Steven says Tate 6, 1 ++ and 2. I don't know what that means. 6-1? 6-1? I need a little clarification there. Frank says, I think finding out that he was cheated was an emotional release for Day. He was definitely questioning his approach in 2022. Yet another extension of the cheating fucked with people. Exactly, yeah. That's my thought. The last two, 2021 and 2022, those games were stolen from us. Those are not legit wins. And eventually those will be vacated. So for what it's worth, I mean, vacating wins doesn't do much for me, but they will have to go back and they'll get another crack at 1,000 wins, maybe in a couple seasons after they have to subtract 26, at least 26 wins, I would say, maybe more. RDB says this is the last year this will mean as much. 11-0 versus 11-0. Winner goes. After this year, the loser still gets in. Exactly. Yeah, next year, one of us could lose this game and we'd still end up in the Big Ten championship game together next year. Odysseus says Day has more short-term pressure, but TCUN has massive pressure, both short and long-term. Yeah. They may not have a program in 2024, regardless of Harbaugh leaving or not. I don't know if they will have a program worth playing for. That's going to be interesting. Yeah, Frank says they're under tons of pressure and lost that advantage, something they've been used to for at least the last couple of years. They're fucked. Yeah. Yeah. And their fans have the memory of a goldfish. They forget the previous 20 years when we cleaned their freaking clock every year. It wasn't even a rivalry. At least now it's a rivalry, right? I mean, you do have to, as a Buckeye fan, you got to lose occasionally for it to be a legit rivalry. Otherwise, it turns into just another game like it was the previous 20 years. But their fans forget that shit. They just remember the last 2 years. How old are you? Fucking 2 years old? No. They've been playing this game for a long time, and we kicked the crap out of you guys for a long time. Those frustration things. Okay, Steven, I got you. 6 catches, 100+ yards, and 2 touchdowns for Tate. Love it. Sign me up for that. RDB says, I know it's frowned upon, but after what they put Day in this program through, if Ohio State wins, are they petty and let it out with a return flag plant on the 50? I wouldn't be against it. No, I wouldn't have a problem with it. They got turf, right? They don't have grass, so you got to kind of hold that flag up. You can't just stick it in the ground because it's just going to sit there, fall down. But yeah, I'm with it. RDB. Doug says they're going to be in the dumpster after the NCAA is finished with them. We may beat them to a legitimate 1,000 wins. Yeah, I agree. Especially when they're counting wins against Ann Arbor High School. Are you fucking kidding? What are we doing here? I don't care what year it was. Jesus, Ann Arbor High School. Frank says, fuck yeah, we have more of a right to plant a flag there. We've won more there than they have in the last couple of decades. Exactly. RDB says, after the bowl ban, I wonder if commits jump, who would want to play for nothing? Exactly. That's my point, man. If especially if it spans over multiple years, maybe some scholarship reduction. Yeah. I think some recruits have to jump, right? Just a matter of time. Frank says people were even writing articles. Is it still a rivalry? Yeah, exactly. Wasn't that long ago, prior to 2021. That was the question. Odysseus says after U.S. integrity is finished with them, they may not afford to keep a football team. Yeah, them and the feds and whoever else wants to get involved. You got the NCAA, you got the feds, you got U.S. integrity. I'm really waiting. Something has to happen with Steve Clinkscale, right? Like soon. Wonder if he was on the sidelines for the Maryland game. I have to go back and check the tape. I assume he was because he hasn't been fired, but I gotta know why he deleted his Twitter account. Gotta know that. Anyway, Steven says RDB, you're right, waiting for the other shoe to drop. Yeah. Doug says Ann Arbor High School. Who claims that? Yeah. Bunch of pussies. They are a bunch of pussies. Frank says, all right, I'm out of here, brother. Just talking with you. Go Bucks. Fuck, team up north. All right, Frank. Take care, man. We'll be live all week. I'll save you a seat. RDB says, oh, it's going to drop after the national championship. At this point, the best thing we can do is keep their ass out of the playoffs. Yeah. We cannot afford to give them anything to smile about because the Grim Reaper is waiting around the corner. He's tapping on their door with his sickle, and we want to piss in their Cheerios this Saturday and keep them out of Indianapolis. You're not going to the Big Ten championship. You're not going to any championships, actually, and probably not going to the playoffs either. You guys think Michigan can still get in with a close loss to the Buckeyes? Think they can get in the playoffs? We did it last year, so it's not crazy. It's not crazy. Doug says maybe he's with Jimmy Hoffa. That was a great movie. Jack Nicholson. I like that movie. Underrated, in my opinion. All right, we're kind of winding down here. You guys got anything else you want to hit? RDB comes in, says that Harbaugh sounds like a person with dementia, just stutters and tries to gain his train of thought. I wonder how much he has really, this has really took a toll on him because he looks flabbergasted. Maybe he's got some CTE setting in, right? And he's played a lot of football in his lifetime. Probably, cracked that melon a couple times. But he does sound like he has dementia. Steven says, not a chance SOS is keeping that from happening. Strength of schedule, yeah, I agree. But what about Georgia? They've got equally bad strength of schedule as Michigan. And if they lose to Alabama in their conference championship game, I bet Georgia still makes it into the playoffs. Doug says it would take a couple weekends of chaos for two Big Ten teams to get in. Yeah, Odysseus, the same. Massive chaos. They're done even if they lose by one. Okay. Yeah, Doug. I think he does too. Doug says I think Harbaugh's has the beginning stages of CTE. I wouldn't surprise me, man. You know, he's had his bell rung plenty of times playing, back in the 80s. Yeah, Steven, I know, but do you like how the CFP committee likes to rank some of these SEC teams like Tennessee and Mizzou? Pay attention to where they're ranked Tuesday night. Pay attention to where those guys have moved. Missouri, Tennessee, anybody else that Georgia has played. If they keep moving Missouri and Tennessee up, that's just going to give more credit to Georgia, right? I hate the way they do that shit. The committee is such a joke. RDB says, can you imagine if Alabama, Oregon, Florida State, and Ohio State make the playoff? It's the last 4-team playoff, and that would mirror the first 4-team playoff. That's a good point. I didn't think about that. Yeah. They got to drop FSU, right? Since Travis broke his leg. I mean, it's not right, but if your starting quarterback goes down, seems like it'd be a problem. I don't know how good their backup is, but he can't be that good. 10 and 25 this week are Missouri and Tennessee. Yeah. We'll see where the playoff committee ranks them, move them up, usual shit. Yeah. Hey, folks, before you get out the door, please hit the like button. I'd really appreciate it. Thank you very much. Odysseus says Harburglar once hit a player on his helmet in his playing days. I know. Guy's always been insane. He has. He has been insane. Punched Jim Kelly. I said Doug. Punched Jim Kelly once after Jim Kelly was retired. He was doing TV. Pam says, I feel bad for Travis. Yeah, that's a terrible break. Jeez. RDB says they can put Florida State in. Ohio State can beat Michigan and go to number 1. I would love that draw. Sure. Yep. Sounds good to me. FSU's got a good defense, but without their quarterback, I think they're kind of screwed, All right, Steven, see you tomorrow. Appreciate you. All right, folks. I'm going to bounce on out of here. I got to get some material ready for tomorrow's show and Wednesday's show. What do you think we should talk about? Current events? Cryptocurrency? We can talk about that. How's that sound? Just kidding. Don't forget, if you want to get in the football pool, send me $10. I posted the payment options up at the top. No, I didn't actually. I didn't pin it there. I pinned it now. Venmo, Cash App, or PayPal. All of my accounts are there. Send $10. We'll get you in the squares pool. We got about 18 squares left. So get in. You get 2 numbers per team, and the numbers will be drawn when the board is completely full or right at kickoff. So either way, I'll give you guys access. Whoever joins, I'll give you a link to the board so you can see it, and we'll do it. But anyway, that's all I got for you today. Talk to you tomorrow. Go Bucks.